In today's high-stakes tournament scene, most of the world's top players are in their 30s. But just 8 years ago, things looked very different. Many of the best were in their 20s, with pros like Fedor Holtz, Nikita Bajikowski, and Adrian Mateos leading the way. Jonathan Jaffe recently spoke with some of today's top young players to hear their thoughts. Why are there so few young players now? And what unique challenges do they face competing against the seasoned veterans?
Yeah, I'm Michael Jozoff, and I'm 24.
How long have you been playing professionally?
I guess since 2022 is when I've been playing. I've not had anything else going.
So ever since I was half maybe, so that would be 5 years now.
I guess I could say we started at 16, 17 when we were playing home games with my friends, and that's when I first got introduced to poker.
I started playing professionally in 2021, so 3 years.
I started playing sort of semi-professionally in college, but I would say professionally really once I graduated in 2022.
I was going to try to make it to a year at Microsoft for the stock vesting and all that, and just so that, I could say I'd been there a year. But I just felt like it was, like, at a certain point, I felt like I was just wasting time. I wanted to spend more time on poker, so yeah, just made the leap.
During college, I doing some jobs in finance, and I realized I just loved it way more, and I really enjoyed the freedom and the lifestyle from poker.
I think I just, at some point in college, I realized I was somewhat talented at the game, and I've been good at games in general my whole life. Like, I grew up playing chess. I played certain esports competitively. Like, I played Call of Duty competitively. Then it was Fortnite, and I've just always had a background in games.
To me, it was kind of a no-brainer to play poker professionally because I was playing while I was in school, and I noticed how my motivation to do anything that I'm not very passionate about in school was very low.
It's sort of meritocratic in that sense that, you're more or less responsible for your results. I mean, obviously variance is huge, especially in live poker, but specifically with online, if you get a bunch of volume in, you get 10,000 tournaments in and you're losing, that's probably just your own fault.
Was there anyone's Twitch stream in particular that you really hooked onto early on, or just a bunch of people?
Yeah, it was. I remember. I think it was Braggy's streams. I used to watch. I think he was doing a bankroll challenge back then, so he was playing like sometimes the bounty 330 and like $4, and yeah, it was just fun to enjoy the journey and see like how getting from the lower stakes to sometimes satelliting into a bigger buy-in.
Someone I definitely do look up to, though, is Jason Kuhn. It just seems like he's doing everything right. He's doing everything the right way, and he just seems like he's always at the top of his game and performs well. So yeah, he's up there for me.
I think it would have been most of the online people. I was more following online poker more than anything. So C. Darwin is a name that very early on was just known as the guy back in 2017, 18, or at least from my perspective, that was the case.
What, if anything, has been more difficult than you would have guessed about playing professionally?
It's probably been the swings, just because, it's natural. We're humans, we have emotions, and you lose large amounts of money in short periods of time. And, there's a desensitization process to that. But, the swings can still be tough even after you've gone through them.
I think one of the most difficult things is scheduling, because it's not like a normal job where you have fixed dates to work and fixed dates off. You have to balance that on your own. And one of the hardest things for me is deciding, like, when I have a conflict, whether I should play that day or not.
I think the emotional swings for sure, like more than anything, like I think that's the hardest part that people don't understand who don't play poker. I would say it's probably the only negative thing about the game. Like, sometimes you can do everything right and still don't get the results that you feel like you deserve. And sometimes you can also think that you're doing stuff right, but you're actually not doing. So there's a lot of battle with your mind.
How do you think about the question of balance, improving and progressing in other areas of your life while pushing forward with your goals in poker?
I've been struggling with balancing other aspects of my life for sure, because poker is such a cutthroat game that to me, it almost feels like the time that I'm not working, the time that I'm not studying, somebody else is. you know? And so it really makes you want to just be all in on poker, all in on studying and and really just prioritizing that. But, you do have to remember, like, you have a family, you have friends, you have like needs, like non-poker needs. Like, life's not all about making money.
I don't find myself itching to play poker all the time. If I've been playing for a long time, I usually get a little tired of it. I want to, switch it up, to try some new activities.
But I try to be very liberal. I don't know if liberal is the right word, but liberal towards myself to like let myself enjoy the youth as well, because this is time that you will never get back. So let's say I would just grind for 10 years, then I would be 33. I mean, I would still be young, but like there's 33 young and then there's 23 young, and I really want to try to do the things that a normal guy my age does, even though I'm not studying.
I'm pretty much either in 100% poker mode or in 100%, relaxation and hang out with friends and family modes.
Why do you think we have so few elite young players?
There are lots of ways to make money with the internet. There's lots of non-traditional ways to make money. So I think it's poker is probably not one of the first things that people look to nowadays.
I was very confused coming up as to why there isn't many more people that had the same path as I did, because I thought it was so convenient to get into poker, because the internet was just growing so exponentially, right? It's very easy to discover poker at one point. I think a lot of people pick it up. I guess it's just a discipline thing that people drop out because they lack bankroll management and they are just very immature on how they manage money.
Like it's poker is very stigmatized in the social realm. It's not considered as a cool profession or like a well-respected profession. Like even these days, I have people who say to me that, I mean, a lot less than there was before, but people who say that you shouldn't really do that poker. Like, I don't like you playing that poker stuff. Like,
in my generation, there hasn't really been a huge outburst of poker popularity, I guess. So people in my generation kind of just have to find it randomly. I feel like I kind of stumbled upon poker and got really lucky with that, because it ended up being something that I really enjoy. But I could have easily just not been aware of this as a game.
What's the most challenging area to play catch up when you're playing against guys who've been playing high stakes for the past 10 years plus?
For sure, the most challenging area to play catch up in is I would say, population reads and stuff like that. I think it's the young guys who I work with and I study with. I think we're all pretty sharp. We're pretty studied. ICM, we're all pretty good and stuff like that. So I think most solver-based stuff, we're not really too far behind at all. I think mostly it's just, they're guys who've been playing against each other for 10 years, and that X player is way going to, he's going to be, let's say, stationing a river way too much, right?
I think a very clear answer for me, it's having good routines and maintaining healthy lifestyle, or be motivated in that way. Be very aware that anything outside the table or outside poker really affects how focused you are at the table.
I would just say it's experience. The guys that have been playing 10, 20 years have been studying, putting work in for 10, 20 years. So just to catch up to that, you just got to put in the work. I think it'll happen eventually, or I'll be able to get closer and closer to them, but it's just a difference in time experience. That's the way I see it.
Well, for me, it's ICM. I think other areas you can catch up quickly because it's a lot of pattern recognition. You can see a spot, and then if you're good at recognizing patterns, you can apply what you've learned to a brand new spot. But in ICM, you just get these completely new spots so often that it just comes down to who's looked at 5,000 final tables in their lifetime. Like, it's going to be the guy who's played 10 years.
Where, if anywhere, do you see an edge, as a younger player who hasn't maybe gone through whatever the players who've been playing for 15 years have gone through? Is there any kind of unique lens that helps the younger guys, or any edge that you think being younger?
I think the biggest edge from being a younger player and not having as much experience is probably just that, we didn't really play in the pre-solver era, and we probably haven't built up bad habits over the course of that time. Like a lot of guys who, are old school legends or, really good players 10, 15 years ago, and they're trying to adapt their style, today, there's going to be a lot of stuff that they have to tear down that a younger player probably wouldn't.
I would say I've probably played quite a lot more than they have recently, because they also play live poker. They also have families and other stuff. So I think staying true to the poker meta, I think, evolves constantly. Like every few months, there's always new stuff coming up. And
I think I might have an edge in having a good intuition about population tendencies, or specifically modern population tendencies, because I came up when people were starting to study with solvers, and then I guess my mind was very sensitive to how people make mistakes during that era, and it's going to be different when you compare that to how people made mistakes 10 years ago, because it's just a different way on how people learn poker.
Do you have any specific short-term or long-term goals in poker?
My biggest long-term goal is to just be the best player in the world. I mean, that's always what's driven me, because I'm a pretty competitive person. I think you have to be playing high stakes. Short-term goals, I don't really have too many short-term goals. I guess like I'm just trying to make incremental improvements to my game every week, month, etc. And I think all of those incremental improvements will lend themselves to being, one of the top players eventually.
I would say, like, at this moment, although it quite doesn't feel like that, I would say I'm almost there. But I would say my goal is to be able to really get the most out of myself, and really still get to the one step further. Like there's always a next level that you can reach, and I would say to just stay true to my work ethic and really continue to putting in the hours, and like don't get too comfortable with the situation, because if you get comfortable, then you're never going to get the most out of yourself. So I would say put in the hours and really try. And
I'm not really a goal-oriented sort of person. I would say my overall goal right now is just to become the best player I can, and eventually be able to compete at Tritons, play with the best, and go to all the Triton stops.